being set up, turn it over to our program chair, George Rader.
Thank you, President Mindy, fellow Lions and guests. Yes, 4 more years of retirement. I'm pleased to have with us today Frank Morrison, who is Director of Community House on Broadway. I was trouble finding this morning, I forgot what street it was. But I'm not going to say a lot about Frank, because I offered him to also give us a little bit of his background as well as what he's doing. But I do know he's born in Texas, wound up out these ways playing baseball, and actually was back in Texas playing baseball for a while. Frank has recently become Director of the Community House, which, as you know, exists largely because of the charity of the citizens of this area. And it's a faith-based organization. We were talking this morning, in fact, I was talking to one of the staff, they mentioned they over Frank praying the other day. You said, Lord, put a life into this organization, but we're really kind of financial straits, and I wonder if you could see in your heart, Lord, to let me win the lottery this week. The week went by, he didn't win the lottery, so he prayed again and said, I promise to tithe 10%, Lord, and of course, you know, it's all going to go to my mission here. Didn't win the lottery, so third week came back and said, I don't understand this, Lord, I just don't understand why. And this voice came on and said, Schmuck, meet me halfway, buy a ticket. So, and you can put that one in the California joke. Yeah. So without further overwhelming humor, I'd like you to please help me give a nice warm welcome to Frank Morrison.
Well, thank you very much for having me here today. It's an honor to speak before the lions, one of the most powerful animals on earth. I have had the pleasure to go to a couple mission trips in Africa, and it's quite a beautiful place. But it's a place on earth where they can't tend to the issues of the people like we can here. And so I just really want to encourage you, when someone, I guess this is a little idiosyncrasy of me, it flips my trigger a little bit when people start putting down the United States. Because we do so much for our people. We really do. We try to take care of our folks in the United States. And so anytime you have someone, you know, kind of bashing the United States, whether it's a fellow citizen, just encourage them to look at all that we do and give throughout the world. And we take care of the people at home as much as we possibly can. I came, as George was saying, I was born in Texas. My dad was in the Army, so we moved right up to Kitsap County, and I grew up in a little town called Kingston. Cute little town, and up by Paulsbo, Bremerton. And so it's a cute little town, but then I came back down here to when Scott Carnahan recruited me for baseball to play at Lower Columbia College, which really is. We once again are blessed in our area to have such a top-notch program that puts us on the map. It really does. And so I got to partake in being on a championship team, and you know, there's all kinds of stories I could go on and on that I enjoy, but that's a long time ago. So I'm here to speak about Community House today. One of the things that was preparing my heart for Community House was my midlife crisis. When I turned 40, I became a pastor. And I shepherded for 5 years at North Lake Baptist Church as associate pastor. Well, in 2010, I shifted back doing sales and purchasing to Woods Log and Supply, whom I've been with since 1986. And God bless Janet White, she's going through it right now with lung cancer, so be praying for her. But, you know, it made me really feel a sense of belonging when, as far as dealing with the homeless, when I was leading the Servant Week. Servant Week was where multi-congregational efforts were there to go out and do stuff for the county, the city, anyone that needed some help that were under budget. You know, the school district, we've helped out. By the third year of running Servant Week, I started realizing, you know, or it started to become more heavy on my heart on the amount of homeless people we run into. I was just reading a report today where they showed there were 6,000 people in the state of Washington that were sheltered last year, and we had 600 of them at Community House. You know, as far as we sheltered them. Where the midlife crisis comes in is at 48 years old, I get a call from DSHS and they said, hey, we've got 3 little kids and you adopted their siblings 15 years earlier. Would you be interested in taking them in? And this was when I was planning to do something specifically programmatically for the kids in foster care. Well, they said, you know, we got a step further we want you to go. Could you take them into your home? Don't just do an event. And that's what God's saying. That's what he was saying to me. Don't just do it as an event to, you know, get people encouraged into helping their community, but actually take on the day-to-day. And so we took little Mari, Johnny, and Kalina in, and they were 5, 7, and 8 at the time, and my wife and I were 48. We adopted them. And they had stayed at Community House before, which is just the craziest thing. And so, as that transpired, after we adopted them, that's when the whole Community House position became open. And so, Bob Guide was hired to lead the search committee for Community House. And they contacted me, and I know they did a national search. And Rich Kirk, who held his hand to the plow for 24 years, and I do mean hand to the plow, because it is hard work, it's perseverance and relationships. It's this grace that keeps giving. I heard one of my favorite songs right now is where the hurt and the healer collide. And one of the lyrics is, I'm alive even though a part of me has died. Yesterday we had a family, a mom, 5 kids. Something doesn't work out with a guy. She has a safe place to come. We open up a room for her. And when I mean we open up a room, we literally, it was a playroom, and we said, hey, you're not going to live on the street, we're going to take care of you. You're not going to go out and be prey for someone to take advantage of you. And so this community, you guys are amazing. You really are. We had 600 people we sheltered last year, you know, unduplicated, okay? Because sometimes you think, oh, it's the same people, oh, it's the same people. No, it's not. We sheltered 600 and we turned away about 800 because we were full. And when we take them in, we case manage them. Every week we meet with them and we give them short-term goals and long-term goals. One thing that was really instrumental this year is United Way. Last year they exclusively sponsor our case management. And so me and Clay, we kind of worked on being more effective in our case management. And what that meant was we had one person case managing 80 residents. That's not possible. So I went ahead and hired and stepped out in faith, and I've got 3 outstanding case managers. One of whom many might know is Larry Russell. I just hired him, and he is the executive director of Love Inc. Love Inc. used to be Servant League. So you see how things kind of connect. It's almost as if it's been kind of groomed to where we can fill a gap in our community that needs to be filled. Where budgets have been cut and we can do projects to help out. We can use the volunteers from the churches of the community. We can use the volunteers from Community House, right? We did 30,000 hours of volunteerism last year at Community House. With hiring Love Inc. on, it's going to skyrocket, you know, the amount of volunteer hours we have in our community. And someone should keep track of this out there, because I'm sure with federal government, they probably look and see what communities do and see how much they give. Because our community should be honored in that way. When I walk into the kitchen, you know, so we have 3 case managers, Larry Russell, Caleb Luther. Caleb Luther so happens to be a distant relative of Martin Luther. He's outstanding, he's an ordained minister. And then Michelle Welch, one of her sons played football at OSU, and the guy's a monster. You know, I'm 6'5", 250, and I look like a shrimp next to him. But our kitchen, when I walk into our kitchen, I'll see a calendar all 30 days or 31 days filled out with a different group to come in and serve a meal. And that just blew me away, that you get ILWU Local 21, you get roller derby girls, you get congregations, Friends of Community House, all sorts of groups come in. And that's what makes it fun for me to navigate that. That's one of the things, I'm going to write a little editorial for United Way. A lot of you know that we've just got a few weeks left, and they give to a lot of partner agencies. And it's so nice that they are a little bit of a grid or a filter to funnel money through, because they do good mutual accountability. With that, it allows agencies to actually spend time with the people. I know I'm an executive director, but I really love spending time with the people and helping them through their mountains and valleys. I got 8 kids at home. It's crazy. 7 of the 8 are living with us right now. I did bring a little bit of bragging rights here. It was kind of my daughter, she just landed on the Martha Stewart Wedding Edition as a model. And so my daughter Mariah, really dear to my heart, she's a sweetie. She was on, and it's, you know, Martha Stewart's magazine. We were like, get out of here. I can't believe my daughter gets to do this. And she's here as well. And she's been on TV 3 times in the last month. Good Morning America and Inside Edition and Bravo station with the Rachel Zoe Project. That there seems like God saying, you know, hey, you continue your hard work. I'll take care of your kids and stuff. Yes, I'm going to take care of my kids. But, you know, this is a little bit of frosting on the cake to keep encouraging us to put fuel in the tank. Because it is exhausting, guys. It really is. And if it weren't for a community like this, there's no way that a single individual or even a group of individuals can single-handedly tackle this. It is a community-wide effort. And so I'm proud of you guys as a community. I really am. And I want you to know that 77% of the people that are at Community House, we just did a recent survey that 77% of the people blah, 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 are from this county or a surrounding county. Not counting Clark, though. But, you know, Rainier, Oregon, they don't have a shelter, so we're helping them out. You know, with Kayakam and Lewis and some of these other neighboring counties. So we take care of Southwest Washington pretty well. And we take care of the people here at home really well. We served 53,000 meals last year. I don't like to fluff numbers. I like to be as close to honest, with integrity as possible. And that's on the low side, 53,000 meals. How many people, it would be interesting, raise your hand if you've ever cooked a meal in community house here. Yeah. And so, there's people we're going to celebrate our 25th anniversary on April 23rd. It's a Tuesday night. So put that on the calendars. I'm gathering together the core group, the steering committee, and I'm going to have them there speak a few words of those that remain. We had a great time meeting with Ferris Albert. He's a former judge, 95 years old, told us some World War II stories, and he had us at the edge of our seats. It was really fun talking with him. I'm going to try and convince him to come to our 25th celebration. You just never know what you're setting up in town and what kind of legacy you're leaving. But there was about 7 or 8 folks that primed the pump, so to speak, in 1987, and then 1988 it came to fruition that this community is going to have a shelter so people could, when they hit hard times, they've got a place to go to. And if we could keep people from being desperate and making desperate decisions, then we don't have as much to fear in the community, right? Because we're taking care of them. So, I guess with this, I have no idea where we're at time-wise. Wrap it up. Is there any questions that you have about community house? I'm 5 minutes over. A few questions. Got to be some questions. We served almost 120 kids last year. 20% of our population is children. Marilyn.
I was just wondering, Frank, when you manage these people, what are you advising them on, and how much time you spend with them to help them get on their feet or jobs?
That's good. We meet weekly with them. It's client-centered, solution-focused. It sounds all good and fancy, but what basically we're doing is we're developing what works for them, where they're at. Right now, we have about 20 people that legitimately qualify for Social Security. But as a lot of folks know, you usually get denied the first time or two. I just had Caleb Luther get certified in SOAR training. SOAR is an accelerated way to get your people on Social Security. Social Security is only going to be around $700-800. So, there's few places to be out there that you can actually get rent for. So people are going to have to think creatively. But so once a week they meet and we point them towards whatever their disabilities or barriers are. They might have lost their ID, their birth certificate, veterans benefits. We're getting ready to, I don't know if anyone's from Longview Housing Authority here, but Chris Pegg has Kevin Nixon and Dave and those guys who were on Commerce there. I think about 14 or 16 units are being converted into veterans housing. So that's exciting. That's going to happen here shortly. So whatever is applicable, I guess. And does that make sense? A lot of people don't have high school degrees or GEDs even. So guess what? Get back to school. Let's get this done. Rick?
What's the amount of people that you have per day in there, and then how many staff?
We have about 7 full-time and 7 part-time on our staff. That actually has put me in a predicament a little bit. Last year, we only brought $364,000 in green stuff, and I needed, if I hold on to the staff that I have right now, I'm gonna have you bring in $471,000. That's still very cheap. We're talking $6,600 a person, you know, in a year's time is what it costs to run. You know, I think it was $18.81 a day. But on average, the number of stay ranges from, like today, we had 82. Just last week, we had 101. You know, so we did a point in time count. We worked heavily with the homeless coalition. It's called the Housing First Coalition with the Council of Governments. And Don Hanson and Melissa Taylor, they've got some goals, these 10-year goals that are coming down the pike. We only got a couple years left. 2015, I think, is the 10th year, right? And so there's some goals to convert some of these into permanent supportive housing instead of relying on shelters. And community house is not going away, so don't worry about that, because we're always going to need that. But we want to reduce the dependency upon it and put people into an environment where they can settle their mind and get some case management. Have you ever been displaced for more than 2 weeks? You know, like you went on a trip and it's been 3 weeks. Are you not ready to go home after 3 weeks? And you have that unsettled feel in your mind? Well, that's what they probably feel like. 12 years is yeah.
So, on an individual level, can we stop by with groceries? We still have the church program where churches sign up for 10 gallons of milk a day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there something on an individual level that can be done other than just writing a check?
You know, there is. Mentorship, in my mind, is the biggest. I apologize for directing that way. The food's great, phenomenal, 53,000 meals. You know, there's a lot of people that cook. But it would be desirable to see the foster children that never landed in a home that are now homeless have a man or a woman come alongside them and take them to Zojo's or Starbucks or something to just sit and talk and be a friend and show them what a normal relationship could look like. So I would say, besides just writing a check, mentorship is a big thing, or just becoming a friend. And you know, basically you fill out your application and we'll match you up with someone. You know, and if it works, that's great. It's very helpful because we want them. We just got this grant for housing retention team, and what that means is we follow them out the door, so to speak. Well, it wasn't happening before. We wouldn't know where they went, and so we're like, how do we know if we're successful or not when we don't even know where they went? But now we're going to help them move their furniture, and oh, you need a couch, I'll bring it right over. There you are. We know where you're at. We're going to stop in weekly and check up on you for up to a year. And just make sure you're doing okay. Stay away from the triggers of what sends you over the edge or what have you. And making good choices. My back's hurting right now. So, who else? There was a couple other questions. How are we doing, Cindy? Oh yeah, available for questions afterwards. That's fine. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the Pioneer Lions, let me get it back down here. Pioneer Lions, here